To whom? A read? Greetings and salutations. The universe is just doomed. 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 Doomed.
Hi, and welcome.
It's us, Nicole.
And Tessa.
And nobody else.
And we are alone.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, 4th of July weekend this weekend. So we are celebrating with the flight of the Navigator.
Because it takes place on July 4th, 1978.
So perfect, right?
It starts on.
It starts on.
And if you guys if you never saw this one.
And there's fireworks, so.
Yeah. It's legit, man.
It's a legit
Independence Day film.
Indeed.
So yeah, if you haven't seen this, it's on Disney Plus right now.
Yep.
I feel like I watched this. We had the Disney Channel, I think, at some point, and
So
I think
did
it was
I.
on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This was a staple of, I mean, the voice of Paul Reubens.
I know.
Cute little kid.
Paul Mall, you mean?
Paul Mall. His moniker. But yeah, I hadn't watched this in so long that I had forgotten the sequence of events.
Yeah.
So I remembered the crux of the film, but yeah.
Well, it all came back to me just.
Mm-hmm.
It was all coming back to me the moment it started. I was like, I know every bit,
Exactly. And it's still a good
and it
film.
held up. Yeah, it was still good. I got a little
misty.
emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent now, first time watching it as a parent from that perspective was different, where you're like, holy shit, your kid goes missing for 8 years and shows up the same age.
Exactly the same.
What
like
the
how
fuck?
fucking Twilight Zone.
And I love we'll get to it, but their reaction, the fact that they just accepted it.
Oh, yeah.
Their son was home.
Sure.
That's all they wanted.
Absolutely.
Deal is done.
Hey,
we don't care. We'll take him like this.
He's home now.
Yep.
He's 12, but whatever. We'll work from there.
That's okay.
We
Little
already
brother's
moved.
big brother. Yeah.
We already moved, so it's fine.
So it is, the cast is Joey Cramer as David Freeman.
Right. Paul Reubens or Paul Mall as Trimaxion.
Max, he calls him. Cliff DeYoung as Bill Freeman, the dad.
Veronica Cartwright as Helen Freeman, the mom.
We got two Jeffs, the brother, because there's little Jeff, Albie Whitaker.
And adult Jeff, which is Matt Adler.
North Shore.
Yes. I was like.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He's a little cutie patootie.
Cute. I know. I totally had a crush on both young David and Jeff.
Right. There was like the 12-year-old and then the 16-year-old.
I know.
So it was like, ooh.
It was like, and I was, God, I don't know how old I was when I saw this. Young enough to where neither one of those things would be entirely weird. Because if it's 1986,
I don't think I saw it in the theater, but I'm going to say I saw it as soon as it came on the Disney Channel or VHS. So
yes.
87, 88.
I mean, definitely before I was 10.
Yes, I was under 10. Under 10 for sure. For sure.
I would go ahead and say that that's true. So yeah, we also have Howard Hesseman as Dr. Faraday.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
And head of the class, right?
Yes, I remember head of the class. Mm-hmm. And Lil Sarah Jessica Parker.
Lil Sarah Jessica Parker in her film debut.
As Carolyn McAdams.
Yep.
And I knew her already from Square Pegs. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have for the cast. Mm-hmm. Those were the main
Those
players.
are the mains. Those are the mains. Big main. Big mains. Those are the big mains.
Chet, relax. I mean, I'm sorry, Tom, relax. Tom's the one calling people big main.
No Hanks. Big main.
Big main. Oh my God. Anyway. So because I had not seen this in so long, I fell for all of the spaceship reveals. For every one of them.
The frisbee?
First the frisbee. So first we start out with the frisbee flying like over kind of, it looks like a cityscape.
Right.
But it's just forced perspective.
So they're in Florida. They're in Fort Lauderdale.
Where there's apparently dog frisbee championships.
Yes, but you know what? This is really important. You have to remember
that the first 5 minutes.
The first 5 minutes of this movie with, the music also, by the way, this excellent synth music, it's an all digital score.
Oh.
Is what part of that video that
Oh,
you
that's
sent me
right.
said was an all digital score, and it was Alan Silvestri who had just done Back to the Future.
That's right. That's right. And then
Because I remember, like, as I was watching this, I was like, "Damn, this music is fucking like the
Right?
montage music, like this is
with dog
classic.
frisbee.
Like all the travel music and all the action
Totally.
shots were like fully."
And the silver frisbee it fooled me until a dog
like,
fucking.
I was like, "Oh yeah, they do." Like it's a lot of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
And so there's a long sequence of dogs catching and not catching frisbees.
Right.
They didn't even just clip the ones that caught them.
No, like some of them do and some of them don't. And also the very important thing to remember here is that young David, Joey Cramer's dog, isn't even in this competition.
No, he's just there watching.
They just brought the dog to the competition.
Yes.
Oh, Bruiser. They just brought Bruiser to the competition so that they could watch and learn how to do this, because young David is like,
And
we're
Bruiser
gonna
does
do this
not.
shit. No,
he's
Bruiser's
not good
into
at
this
it,
shit.
and he does not give a shit.
No, they should be herding sheep. Isn't that a
A sheepdog,
of
I
some
think.
sort?
Yeah. And so it says it's July 4th, 1978. So
Yes.
neither of us were born. I
No.
would be born the next year.
Nope.
Tessa, she was not even a glimmer.
I was not. I was still living in my dad's balls.
Yep. I mean, I guess I was too. Well, let's see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How
I
often
wouldn't have
does
been.
that get shuffled.
My mom wouldn't have got pregnant until the beginning of 1979. So I don't think he'd still be. Yeah, I don't know how often it gets shuffled. Depends how much you get it out of there, I guess.
Girl, I don't want to think about it anymore. You know what? I regret what I said.
So yeah, he's watching and the dog does not care. And so the
No.
parents and the little brother come back, get him to the car, and they head home.
Yeah,
And
Rocky
this
won.
shadow goes over the crowd and everybody
Right,
stops.
It's like, oh, everyone's
and
looking
again,
up
I
in the
was
sky.
like, oh, here it is.
It's the Goodyear
It's the
blimp,
Goodyear
girl. It's the
blimp.
Goodyear. I remember looking.
Yes.
Like when we would go home, it would be like right there on the 405 or whatever. Like when my parents would pick me up from preschool or daycare
Right.
or whatever. It would always be driving past where the Goodyear blimp was parked.
When's the last time you saw the Goodyear blimp?
My mom sees that shit all the time because she goes down there to like
Oh.
hang with her sister, hang
I
with my
never
aunt.
see it anymore. I feel like it was more prevalent when
It
I was a
always
child.
like a big deal to me. Like I love seeing the blimp. It would be like so exciting to see the Goodyear blimp. And you know what else I fucking loved all the time, which is really weird, and I still love to this day, the Western Exterminator guy.
Yes. Was
I
that? Didn't
loved
you go
with the
take
little-
a picture? Like I feel
Yes.
like when I was a kid, everybody went and you took a picture.
go-
Was there a cutout or something?
There's a statue.
Or am I thinking of Wes Anderson's pea soup?
No, that too.
And oh my God, we need to make some
I
sort
know,
of
like
something with Wes
Western
Anderson's pea
Exterminator's
soup.
pea soup.
Yes, and that too, because yes, they both had the big billboards with like a character, and there was the exterminator guy with the mouse, but then there was the I keep calling it the
Anderson, it's not.
pea soup guy. And I think you could take a cutout picture at one or both of them. I think it was probably the restaurant, not the exterminator.
Probably. Like you couldn't just. I know that there's a statue right up over here off the 215. I feel like you could go. There's a Western Exterminator place. And
Oh, really?
Sometimes they have it on like the back of the trailer where you. I'm like, I keep wanting to go.
Is that
Come
the
on,
one
pull
that
over.
has the mouse cars?
No, it's the it's like the guy.
No, I know
in
the,
top hat.
billboard. I know the
Yeah,
top
yeah,
hat
no,
guy,
it's
but
just
who
that-
has the mouse cars?
I don't know what that
There's
one is.
an
That's
exterminator
something
that
else.
has mouse
Yeah,
cars.
that has little mouse. I haven't seen that in a while.
I haven't seen that either.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's still a thing, but Western Exterminator's still around.
I'm gonna have to
love
look up
that
if
shit.
that was connected at all.
But that is like my childhood. Western Exterminators and the Goodyear
And the
blimp. I don't know. Somehow it's really deeply rooted.
And so they're on their way home, and the one that I want is playing in the car.
Yes,
I'm like, they're listening to the Grease soundtrack in
I
the car.
know.
All right,
I mean, why not?
1978. Because wait, 1978. What year did Grease come out? 1978.
78?
Was it on the radio? I wonder.
Maybe.
Because I'm like, they probably didn't need. Like, unless they had it on cassette, they just
maybe
ran
they
out and bought
did.
the
Maybe they
soundtrack
did.
as soon as it hit.
But also this sensation. Both of the kids are in the very, very back
Yes,
of the
of the
station,
station wagon. No
Nobody
seatbelt.
has a seatbelt on. Mom is scoot over on the bench seat,
All hugged up next to
with
dad,
The kids are in the very, very back.
beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, just, having a good time. Dropping the kid off.
Okay, I have a note. This feral ass party. They drop this child off. I see no adults.
Nope.
A gaggle of children with a slip and slide and
Near a
lit
highway.
sparklers near a highway in the forest.
Yeah.
And they just let this kid hop out and are like, see
And
you
they're like,
later.
yeah, walk home through
Walk
the
home.
forest
Walk
later.
home through the
8 years
forest.
old.
Yeah. Yeah.
8 years old.
8 years old. And we'll get to that again because this comes up immediately in
Yeah.
like the next scene. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go home to their nice house, David and his parents. This is a nice house. I don't know what
I
the
know
parents
their
do.
house is fucking tight.
Yeah, it never
Like
says,
the
but they have a
fucking
nice
windows
place.
and like his little room where he's got the
And they're like right across from like the lake or the river or
beach,
whatever.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
and there's
fucking-
like boats and shit.
right. It's like the ocean, isn't it?
It
It's
must
Fort
be. It's
Lauderdale.
Florida. Yeah, it's got to be.
I would imagine.
So he goes upstairs to spy on his crush Jennifer, who him and his brother fought about it in the car.
Right,
about-
and he sees her. She rides by on her little bike, ting 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 ting, and like then he runs upstairs to like
check her out in the boat on the telescope. Not in any dirty way because
No,
they're
he's
12.
not- yeah,
he
it's
just
it's
thinks
very
she's cute.
innocent.
Yes.
He sees her over there, and dear old dad
Catches
and this
him.
guy, was he not like
He's in
dad?
so much stuff, I feel like. God
He's
damn
been
it.
like-
Why did
I
I not
know.
look him up? Hold on. Let me go
Uh-oh.
back. What's his name again? Cliff
Cliff
DeYoung.
DeYoung.
Okay, keep talking.
I feel like he was a dad in a lot of
I
things.
do too, and I'm like, I can't think of anything off the top
No,
of my head right
I sure
now.
can't.
Okay, I'm gonna go to his IMDb.
But
and we're gonna
anyway,
find out.
dear old dad comes up and he sees like, oh, what you doing? He's like, oh, I'm looking.
just watching the boats.
Watching the boats, and dad looks and he's like, it's like trained in, like laser guided on little Jennifer out there in the
and
boat.
the dad's just like,
He's like,
"It's
well,
the dad in the craft, girl."
oh,
Yeah, the dad in the craft.
Okay.
That's why he's giving hard dad
Okay.
vibe. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, he had to have been a dad more than once.
I'm just nothing that's like coming up so far
Really?
that is something I would be super
Just that
familiar
one
with.
time he
But hold on,
dabbed
I'm
so
in the
hard.
2000s still.
oh,
He's still
like
working,
he's
girl.
got an extensive career.
Hold on, let me go back.
So like little David asked dad, like, how do I even talk to girls? Like he comes up there and dads it down. That's
Yes,
why
he
I feel
does.
like, I mean, maybe this was it. Maybe this is where I got the notion that he was like dad of the fucking
I guess,
decade.
yeah.
Because, you know, but yeah, so he gives him a little pep talk and whatever. And then later on, mom sends David to go meet Jeff.
So yeah, like he's like, Mom, he's 8 years old. It's
I know he could
nighttime.
totally- yeah, it's dusk. And it's dark as fuck through those woods.
Yes,
Once
and
he
he's
gets
gotta
out there,
go
it's
through
dark
the
as fuck.
woods.
He was like, yeah, just go meet him halfway. He's sending home from the fucking feral child party we dropped him at.
He was in the Tommy Knockers miniseries.
Okay, but was he a dad?
I don't know. He's in Dr. Giggles.
Oh.
Murder, She Wrote. 3 episodes.
Yes.
There's stuff, but it's like
It's not.
it's a lot of familiar stuff, but nothing that's hitting me as like dad, except for the
I
craft.
guess just he dadded so hard in the craft that or he's just got dad face. Maybe this is
if
it.
you know what is the thing that we're thinking of, if it's something besides
It's probably just this. It's probably just this.
Independence
He's a
Day?
good
no, that's
dad.
an old Independence Day from the 80s. But speaking of 4th of July, he was
I
in something
know,
called
there you go.
Independence
The-
Day
hey,
in 1983.
So anyway, he's going out there. He takes Bruiser and he sets off.
And they go out in these spooky ass woods.
I know these. It's like very Stand By Me, like across the railroad tracks through the woods.
Yes.
Like it's all dark, like it's spooky.
Totally.
The music. That's what I'm saying. Halfway through this, I was like, the music is so. It
it's
lends
key.
so much to it.
And
It
then he
wouldn't be
spots
as
that
good.
water tower. And again, for the third motherfucking time, I was like, oh, there it is. Nope.
Nope.
That
No,
ain't it.
That
Water
ain't
tower.
it. You don't see that for a long, long time.
And this kid starts having an existential crisis in
I
the
know
woods.
he's like having a heart to heart with Bruiser because Bruiser
Right?
can't say nothing.
And I got like, when he goes, get back, Jack, I've got a gun, because he hears a sound, I was like Cloak and Dagger.
Yes, yeah.
So, with that shirt
Yes,
and the
very much
backpack and
that-
get
that,
back,
like,
Jack, I've got a gun.
He's like, oh, wait, never mind. Is Henry Thomas also Canadian?
I don't think so, but I would have to.
I don't know. He looks
See,
like he
no
could be
research
Canadian.
assistant. Hold on.
And I don't even. Oh, sorry. I don't even know if Joey Kramer's really
Let's
Canadian.
just say,
I might
let's
just be making that
ask
up. He just
Google. This is the new feature when we don't have a research
just ask.
assistant.
Okay.
Is Henry Thomas Canadian? Oh, it's not going to answer. It's going to make
No.
me read it. Nope, American born.
Okay. So
Is Joey Cramer Canadian? They're all, who is that? Oh,
Delirious Joe August Fisher Cramer
nope.
is a Canadian.
That's not who I'm
That's
talking
not-
about, I don't think. What? Joseph Michael Cramer. Nope, that's a
No?
musician.
what?
With a C, with a C. Oh, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay. So yes. So yes, okay, because I guess that would make sense because he did go on to rob a Canadian bank.
And now he has
Yes,
put
no,
his
he's-
life
I'm
together.
I'm
he's
so
out there
happy
on
to
the
hear it.
convention circuit.
I'm
But
so
yes, he
happy
had
to
some
hear
rough
it.
years.
But that was a thing that I did not expect to read when I saw that headline. Like, remember that kid from Flight of the Navigator?
And I believe there's a series, and this is one of the ones included that's Life After. And there's a Life After the Navigator, Life After Neverending Story. And it's like where they caught up with the child actors
That
now.
would be interesting.
I didn't find it, but yeah, that was something to look
I'll
into.
have to look into that. So yeah, he's having a whole heart to heart with Bruiser. It's like spooky times. Like there's things rustling around over there. Bruiser takes off barking.
And then the brother jumps out of a tree.
Oh, you little fucker!
Right? And he
Scuzz
chases him.
bucket.
He chases him, and then he ends up like falling down a ravine
Well, he
and passes out.
Like,
Well, that's when he's like, "Get back, Jack! I have a gun."
right,
and
like
then his
he
brother
hears,
jumps
like,
out.
Yeah, but then like after that, he hears like something, and
And
he
the dog
goes-
ditches him.
Well, the dog is. Well, is that not why he went over there? Because the dog was sniffing and growling.
Yeah, he went to see what the dog was sniffing and growling at, and ended up falling in. And the
The
dog just went home.
for help.
Well, he didn't bring none apparently.
No.
Or well, he was just already gone.
Right, and like, so how long was he out there like in real time? Because they were gonna go out to eat.
Right.
They were gonna go do all of
So
these
as soon
things.
as Jeff got home, they would be out there looking for him. Like, where'd he go?
I would imagine, like, oh, I sent your brother to meet you. Like, where was
When
he?
they
But
say they were going to go out to eat, but at the end they're in
that's
the boat.
what I'm saying. They're in the boat. So what's the truth? There's a hole there. A wormhole, most likely.
That he was gone for like 4 hours, and
Because
they
then
just
they said like he was gone for a couple of hours, like the time that it would
the
have been.
real time on the ship was like 4.5 hours. They said,
Right,
and it
right,
wasn't
right.
4.5 hours later. I don't think that.
No.
And they never came looking for him. After Jeff said he just saw him in the forest, and the dog
Right.
came home.
Yeah.
So I think they
guess.
would have looked for him. So I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
they had all kinds of plans, and then the plans changed. Maybe there was a time shift
Yeah.
or something.
But
Or
so he
something.
falls down this ravine trying to see what is his dog
barking
getting
at,
into.
growling at, or whatever.
and
So,
he
yeah.
passes out.
Yep, and that's it.
And then he wakes up.
Right. He wakes up. He's in the same place. He's in the ravine. He crawls out of the ravine. He goes back over the railroad tracks and hops over the fence.
Yep. And he goes to his front door and it's locked. So he's like thinking his little brother locked him out and he's
Right.
yelling
He's
at him.
banging on the
Open
door.
up, you
like-
little punk.
Right. And this woman answers.
old
the
woman
door,
answers the
and
door
he's
and
like,
it's like-
"Who are you?
Like,
Who
"This is
are
my
you?
house." Yeah.
Where's my mom and dad?
And she's like,
I don't know what you're talking
you
about.
don't
Like,
live here.
could you imagine the panic?
I know.
She's like, you have the wrong house. He's like, what are you talking
Because
about?
he's probably lived there his whole life.
Yeah,
so.
most likely. And so he like gets in the house.
Yeah, he
starts
just
running
runs in
through the-
past
and
her.
everything is different.
Yes. And did you clock that aquarium on the stairwell?
Yes.
Exotic.
I liked the wallpaper in the stairwell as well.
This is an old swinger couple.
I know.
Does he look like he had his separate bedroom or something?
He's
Like
up
that
there
was
listening to like jazz records and his
in
fucking
his
smoking jacket.
Exactly.
Looking out, because that was his bedroom, right? 'Cause that
Yes,
the
so
one
he
with all
was
the
looking
windows.
out at the boats or the
He
whatever.
was watching Jennifer in the boat too. She's grown. She's 20 now.
That could be true.
She's still down there. She's like a boat bunny. I don't know what those are called. A donkey.
Oh my god! I don't know if there's a name for it
I don't
besides
know
beach
if there
bunny. I have no idea if it's
well,
boats
yeah, but
and
she's
not.
on the boat, so sure.
Yeah. So he's freaking out.
Right.
The husband and wife are
He's
both
like-
like, "Oh my god, how can we help you?" And he's like slumped down
I
in
know,
their
where's,
stairwell
like,
crying.
Where's my mom and dad? I don't know where I am.
And the husband's like, "Call the police."
Call the police. Yeah, like we need to call somebody. So now he's down at the station and he's hearing about blackouts on the news. Like there's been all kinds of power surges and shit. And this cop comes up to the other cop or whatever, and they're like, "Well, we found him in the system.
But this is like
But,
so
like,
old. He
this
was
can't
declared
be-
legally dead.
This can't be for real." And he was like, "Oh no, like look, that's him. Like last seen wearing exactly what he's fucking wearing, looking exactly the same with the same backpack." She's like, "No, look at the date." She's like, "They had him declared legally dead." And he's like, "Who's dead?
yeah.
Hold on." She's like, No one's dead. Like, just we're gonna try to figure this out because this is weird.
So they drive him somewhere and they're asking him questions about like,
could you imagine? They're like, well, what
year is it?
What date? What's the date? He's like, it's
4th of July.
1978. And they're like, who's the president? He's like,
Jimmy Carter.
It's Jimmy Carter.
And they just have this look like, oh
Okay.
shit, okay.
So he's like, where are we going? They're like, you'll see. Like, I feel like
That
this
was
is high-
weird.
Did
Like,
they
why not just
call
tell
ahead?
him? No, it didn't seem like it.
I
They
mean,
just
that's
took
wild.
him there,
I can't
like-
imagine. Because, I mean, like, he looks exactly the same, but I feel like you got to be careful. How long does it take to get somebody declared legally dead? It must have just happened.
I would think.
I
And
feel
imagine how hard this kid's life would have been after that if he just came back as
he's
12
got, like,
and then
no record, no whatever. Like
He
he
can
has
live
to
off
prove
grid
he's
now.
not right. If he wanted to,
Yeah, totally.
but he would have no idea. He only has star maps.
So they go knock at the door in the middle of the night and it's the parents.
He sees across the thing, like they answer the door, and he's like, "Do you have a son?" David Scott Freeman that went missing 4th of July 1978, and he sees his dad and he's like, holy shit, that's my dad.
And he takes off running out of the car and runs
then
up to them and is
sees,
like,
what happened to you? Which is just like he was just asleep.
and like neither one of them was unrecognizable.
No,
they
like
were the same.
But they're like, that's our son.
Oh yeah, there's
That's
no
our son.
hesitation.
I can't. 8 years.
I can't even imagine. But
8
if that's your
years?
last memory of him,
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, just the idea of having to. Could you imagine how much they would have had to have argued with that woman to get that kid declared legally dead?
right?
Like, because Jeff says later that she never believed that he was dead.
dead.
Like, what they must have had to have done to convince her.
And so he gets all freaked out and passes out. And then a NASA security vehicle pulls up somewhere with Dr.
he
Faraday.
Yeah, that happens.
And they
in
talk
between.
about they found this ship crash, but they can't get into it.
Right. They don't
has
know
no
what this
openings.
is. Yeah.
And it has crashed into like power lines and shit.
They're like, well, it's real local still. Like, we could
Nobody
keep it-
knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. They think it's, again, a piece of space lab or whatever, just like last week.
Skylab.
Just like last week. That's what fell on
Yeah.
the fucking camp.
Skylab.
That's what the cop thinks it is. And he's like, oh, yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how they're going to move this huge thing. And the
was
night
like,
guard's like, oh, just like
push
this. You just push it.
Yeah, it's floating.
And apparently that was one of the hardest things for them to do because it was
really?
on a big metal arm because they had to do it full size to have them right next to it and have him push it. And so it was on like this big metal thing that they had to try to like manually because there was no digital effects. Or I mean, there were, but like it wasn't like in a computer the way it is now where you just erase it with a fucking tool.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for them to get the arm out of it.
Yeah.
A lot of this shit.
I know.
We
it's
watched this
crazy.
YouTube thing. Was it Dr. Disillusion? Somebody on Threads told me about it. That
Either
to
way,
go watch
regardless of
it was good.
content, the videos are. I mean, at least this one was incredibly well done.
Yeah, and he
very,
did a
like,
lot of research and did stuff
detailed,
himself.
and also just the. What do you like the structure of the show, like the fucking face paint and the characters and the fucking zip zap and the whatnot. Like, it was wild.
I'll definitely have to go back and see when we have other stuff that's special effects if he's got videos on other things.
That was crazy and it was interesting.
So yeah, he shows him you can just push it easily with your hand. It just like it's floating. It's not crashed. It crashed into this stuff and stopped, but it's like no damage to it. It's just
fine.
like
all
there.
this shit's fucked up, but this thing is fine.
So now we're back to David's at the hospital.
Right, and he wakes up and he's on a stretcher and he's like, "What happened?"
Freaking out,
Everybody's like, "No, you're fine. Your mom's right there. His dad's right there. Like, we're gonna be with you all the time." And he was like, "What? What happened?"
Yeah, they're asking him like, "Where have you been all this time?" And he's like, "I
Right.
went to get Jeff a few hours ago.
know,
Why
and
is
they're
everybody
like,
freaking out?"
Where have you been all this time? And that's what, like, what are you talking about? It was a couple of hours ago. And then Jeff gets there.
And now he's a teenager.
Yeah, so he would have been, what, 17?
I think it was set in the IMDb. It said 16.
Okay,
he was supposed to be 8 in the beginning, and then 16.
So 8 years.
So yeah, Jeff comes in. The parents go out with the doctor, and Jeff's like, "Wow, you look just like I remember."
Right, like exactly as I remember.
And he
you.
thinks it's rad.
Yeah, you're like my big little brother.
And David's still kind of like, "You're,
yeah,
can't
like
be Jeff."
I'm scared. Yeah, there's no way that you're Jeff.
As he shows him the missing poster that he saved, and he tells him like everything that's been happening.
Bad. Well, first he tells him like I felt really bad
for scaring
you, and then like I felt terrible about it the whole time. And David's like, anybody could have known that, and he was like, well, bet I got this to show you, and it's his missing poster.
And then they call each other names, and then he believes him.
Butthead, Scuzz Bucket.
And that's when he gets scared. He's like, I don't know what's going on.
Well,
and
he's like, well, we're all going to figure that out. Like, that's just what it is.
So mom and dad come back and tell him the doctor wants him to stay in the hospital for some tests that might help him remember.
Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely.
After 8 years?
Nope. My baby is coming home with me. Thanks.
Well, that's why she says one of them will stay with him all the time. So they don't leave him alone, but still.
Fine, but no.
Well, he doesn't even have a room there yet. So they gotta they go home and like set up his room and shit.
I mean, I guess sure, whatever. Like because he came back unaged after 8 years.
Well, but I would also want some fucking answers and make sure this isn't a pod child or something. Like what the hell? Like I don't have any. Yeah, I don't. Because that's not a normal thing.
No, I mean,
you gotta factor in paranormal immediately when your kid comes back.
I mean,
unchanged.
I guess so. As long as I could be guaranteed. Because after this, it's like E.T. Once we get into it, this is another thing where it becomes a Doom Generation fucking episode because fucking NASA. Again.
Yeah, so they're bringing this spaceship back to NASA. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, David's having like kind of disturbed slumber and Jeff is reading next to his bed and he wakes up and he's like, he's hurt. He's calling me.
He's like hearing fucking voices in his dreams.
And he's saying he's hearing a voice, but he can't understand what it's saying and he can't even explain to Jeff what it's saying because it's probably in like an alien language at
right,
first.
like it sounds just like whispers. Mm-hmm. Like he can't make it out. Actually, the subtitties do.
Oh, it says?
Mm-hmm. It does. It's just like later on, it's like, are you coming?
That part I could hear once he's at.
I don't know.
Once he was close to the ship, I felt like I could understand it better. But during this part, I couldn't.
I don't know if there was something. It might have not said anything here, but I feel like the very next thing, it was like, oh God, I don't know. But it had more than I ever understood it to say. It always just sounded like mumbling and whispering.
So put the sub-titties on is the lesson
you know
for
what
today.
I'm telling you? It's how I found out that Benny was Hungarian.
Right?
It's how I found out that there was a lot more dialogue that the ship had before I thought the ship had dialogue. So yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. Never know what you'll learn.
So NASA's trying to open this ship and it's completely impregnable.
They can't get into it.
Seamless.
Dr. Faraday wants in.
And so more tests for David. Mm-hmm. They have him all hooked up to shit on his head while they're asking him questions.
Right. And like the monitors go all crazy. And now his
brain, as soon as they ask him about what happened that night, shit starts going off the rails.
His brain starts like communicating
in binary
code with the computer. And then like the craft comes up.
On their monitors, there's like the shape of like schematics almost for the ship.
Right. He like transmits it onto the monitor along with like that code that's all on like the floors and shit, like all the little beep, 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 beep.
And now it's amazing to me that it was supposed to be 1986, right? That in 1986, not only did these doctors immediately identify that NASA needs this information, but that they had the capability to transmit it on some sort of a digital fax machine that sent a giant printout
schematic
to NASA.
They're like, this is what our monitors picked up out of a child's brain. Like,
and not just a child. Like, did you guys mention a child who had been missing for 8 years and showed up the same age?
Like, that's really weird that they would have. It was like they knew. Like one of the doctors had to have known somebody. Like he was like married.
It didn't seem that far away. It was driving distance,
right? Because it's all in Florida, right?
Yeah,
like
nobody got on a plane.
No. So like they had to have known somebody, or maybe they just because they're all in Florida and it's like Space Town, right?
I guess, that they were like, "Ooh, NASA's right around the corner. I bet they'd be interested in this shit."
Maybe,
I guess so.
And it was
all
just
right,
coincidental.
fine. I'll let it slide.
Just coincidental that they had just found it.
And then NASA's immediately down there. Howard Hesseman's out there.
He's like, I got to get there right fucking now. He's like, you need to see this. He's like, we got to go.
So they go to they're like, he's out of the hospital, but he's still out in front of the
He's,
hospital
like-
or something. I don't know what's happening.
No, like he's just on,
there with
like,
his family.
Yeah, he's on like the boardwalk with his family. Like he's just out with his family. He's not at the hospital.
Well, but they're still talking about, there was something that they said that made it sound like he was going to still have to go back to the hospital or go with NASA. Like that because they still didn't have any answers.
May not want to like run more tests
Right.
or whatever, but at least
So, but no, he
at
was out
home.
because he was in shorts
Yeah,
and his
he was
shirt
like in
and stuff. He wasn't
civvies
in.
and shit. Like he was out home.
And
I
so
feel like,
NASA wants him to come with them, and Dad's like, nope.
nope, no fucking way.
But the doctor tells him, well, hey, don't you want to know the truth of where he's been and why he hasn't aged and why his head's all full of space schematics?
Right, and David is like,
He agrees. He tells him 48 hours.
right.
So he
First
agrees.
probably lies, fucking lies.
And I'm sorry, with no parent?
No, absolutely
With
not.
no guardian accompanying you?
Nope, nope.
No.
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 Oh no.
No. Mom or dad or both are coming.
Mom and dad are both.
He is
coming.
still 12.
Absolutely fucking not. You were not.
You haven't
putting my
seen him in
kid
8 years. You
behind-
haven't even gotten
right?
him
And
home
I'm-
yet.
No, and I'm gonna send him to fucking NASA. Absolutely
And trust
not.
them for 48 hours?
Nope, because I
No.
don't. Because I've seen ET.
And
I
so while these
absolutely
parents
don't.
clearly love their child, they're
I
dumb.
know.
They dumb as hell.
This is dumb as fuck. Like there's absolutely no fucking way. Well, I guess to be fair,
to be fair.
Dad does ask David, do you want to? He gives him the choice.
They give him
and
the
David
choice,
makes
but
the
there's
choice.
still, I feel like when the kid said he was going to go, that he did not anticipate going alone.
I know, like I will hop up.
But like, oh, but my whole family's going to come, right?
Right,
or like
or something like I don't
know why
but,
in
like,
my memory, because it'd been so long since I saw this, for some reason I thought Jeff came with him.
see, like we're starting to go off on all of these weird things that we thought happened in this movie that did not happen.
Which
in
is
this
weird because
movie.
that doesn't happen a ton with us. I don't
No.
like rewatching. There's only been a few things where we accidentally watch a director's cut or, something like that where I've been like, this seems
That's
like
not
it's
what
missing
happened
things.
here. We watched the same exact version because
Yeah, 'cause we both watched
whatever
Disney
on
Plus.
Disney Plus. I don't believe anything was cut out.
No,
of
I
the
feel like
version
this
that I
is
watched.
really
It's
what
the
happened. But
exact
in my
same.
memory, there was these other just small events.
You know what I have, and it now it's too fucking late, but I still might do it just to see for like the end of month wrap up or whatever. But I have like a anniversary edition
Oh,
DVD.
okay. Watch the physical copy and see if it's any
there's
different.
not only that, but see if there's any of like the cut scenes or behind the scenes or
scenes.
whatever that maybe I saw on TV somehow. Because you know how
I
they
guess
did that
that's
shit?
possible. The Disney did specials and stuff sometimes.
You know how they
where
did that
yeah.
shit though, where you would watch
Could
a movie on TV or whatever, and there'd be like something added.
Or I wonder if you watch something as many times as we watched this at the young age that we watched it, if maybe, I don't know, like you had dreams about it.
Yeah,
and
or like
you know,
just- you made that happen.
if you
like
fell asleep
decided
watching
that maybe
this movie and then like you kept dreaming a different
maybe
storyline or something
Maybe.
and you still remember a hint of that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I never thought about it that way, but that seems possible because I fell asleep.
This never happens where we're like,
No.
I thought this happened and that didn't happen, and I thought this happened. And
But
that
there's
didn't
been a
happen.
few things when we were
Yeah.
talking. So anyway, so they take
That's
him
weird.
alone to the NASA research center.
Yes, of course.
And he starts hearing these voices coming from
Louder
The
now.
hangar
When,
where
yeah,
they
when
have
they
the ship.
pass the hangar, he looks directly at it and he hears like, "Who said that?" And they're
And
like,
this-
"No one's talking to you."
this super quick scene where like they only even show for a second all of the crap that's in this room, but this stands out so clearly that when they bring him to this little room, it is full of brand new toys. Like Transformers and all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, yes,
Yep.
that's so rad.
I know.
It was like,
how-
big. When
Yes,
he gets
it
that
was, like,
office full of
big.
toys.
Yes. That was the other thing that you always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like the showcase showdown or whatever, where it was like the
Right?
thing
You
would
got
flip
all of the
around and you got
things.
like all of the things.
And
But
he's,
all
like,
it was
unmoved
just
by
that
it.
brown and black and red fucking alarm clock radio.
That's all you get.
That's it. That's all you get.
All you
never
did was
get the
guess the
brand new
price of
car.
eggs, ma'am. Relax.
I know, but it's like I feel like I don't know, their prices seem skewed. I'm like not paying that for a can of beans. That's fucking ridiculous. I would never.
So they bring him into this room full of awesome toys and his own television and a remote control wand.
Yes, this is a remote control wand. This is something you don't know about, which she probably doesn't fucking know about.
I guess not. Not
Oh
from
my God.
1978.
Okay, I got to look up. You got to do the thing because now I got to look up. I do know who the music video is. That
Oh,
he's
yeah. Okay.
watching.
So they lock him in the room and he starts flipping through some channels and it's MTV and he's looking for something else. And this male robot just bursts into his room.
Out of the way, or what is it? Make way? Or...
Yeah. Ralph is the robot's name.
RALF.
And Sarah Jessica Parker comes in with it, which like no knock.
No,
nothing.
First of all, like when Dr. Faraday leaves, he puts him behind this Star Trek door that's locked. And he's like, whoa.
And the kid's like, hey,
what the fuck is this?
don't
Like,
lock me in. And
Yeah.
is there a bathroom in this room? You don't see one.
You really don't.
I don't even... I guess you did see the bed at some point, but so it's got a clearly a two-way mirror that he's getting, and he knows immediately. You can sense by the way he looks at it. He's like aware that's there, and there's like a curtain over it. Which why would there be a curtain over it if it wasn't something people could see through?
I know, like that.
If it was just a mirror, it wouldn't need a curtain
so
around
very
your bed.
Clearly, like they're gonna look into the thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find this fucking thing. Oh, also, no. No, not yet.
So
Not
Carolyn comes in and she's telling him about Ralph, that he brings mail and supplies. And he wants to know why isn't Starsky and Hutch
yet.
on?
When
And
is
she's
Starsky and Hutch on? She's like, that got canceled
a
like
long time ago.
long ass time ago.
And he is not satisfied with MTV. He's like,
No,
what
he's
is
like,
this?
What is this? And this is Blancmange's Lose Your Love.
And now I feel like in that YouTube video that they said that is a real video, but that, like they changed parts of it to make it weirder.
The picture or the shot of the chicken hitting the floor, but in the music video, the chicken does not hit the floor.
So yeah, they made it like extra freaky for this kid or whatever. And
Tiny
so
legs.
Godzilla.
I was my gazoon tight. The tiny legs is what does it for me.
Yeah.
The tiny legs. It's very Peter Gabriel.
And she's like, where have you been? And he's like, I've been gone for 8 years. She's like, where? Outer space.
Maybe.
Foreshadowing.
Maybe, bitch.
Could
I'm
be.
at NASA.
He's
What
all,
the
bitch,
fuck
I
do
might
you
be.
think? Bitch, I might be. Bitch,
And
I
she's
might
like,
be from
you're
space.
weird. And he goes, oh, really? I'm not the one with purple hair.
So she's like, oh shit, we went and saw Twisted Sister last night.
And he's like, who's she?
it's a he. It's
We're
a
not
them.
gonna and they didn't even play any
No,
Twisted Sister.
we're not gonna take
I
it.
loved that when I was a kid. I
know.
loved
What are
Twisted
you
Sister.
gonna do
with
with
your
your
life? And
life?
that guy, I feel like, is in a ton of shit too, as
wanna
a dad or a principal.
Seen
Not a ton
Creepshow
of things.
2?
maybe.
Or one of the first one? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he was in multiple Twisted Sister videos.
Maybe. And so she asks if he wants anything else, and he wants a Big Mac from McDonald's. And it's weird to do, like, this is a product placement, but, like, he doesn't ever actually receive the McDonald's.
No, he doesn't. He never gets so. He's like, if they still make them. She's like, yeah, if they still make them, I'll find you one.
And then she's like, it just depends. Do you want Coke, Diet Coke, Coke? Or she lists all the different
New Coke,
versions.
regular Coke, sugar-free Coke, Diet Coke, caffeine-free Coke.
And he's just looking at her like,
just cocaine, please. Thanks.
right? So she leaves the room. So before we find out what happens next, now is a good time for a break.
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
Okay, that was weird, but
I hit record and it went silent for a second. I was like, I don't know what just happened. So we're back, and Jeff has taught Bruiser to catch a frisbee.
Right, and I thought that there was going to be a whole thing that like Bruiser won the competition, or that it would be known that Jeff like took Bruiser on to victory, like in David's name. But no, there was no that. He could just catch a frisbee.
He can catch a frisbee now.
8 years later, he finally taught him how to catch a frisbee.
So Dr. Faraday lets David call home, but only while he listens in on the other line, which again, children have rights.
I know. Not in 1986,
Maybe
they
didn't
don't.
in
Not in
1986.
1986, they don't. They just now started giving babies anesthetic because they thought they couldn't feel pain.
Oh my God.
Come on. Come on.
So Jeff tells him not to take any shit, and Dad tells him they're fixing up his room. And again, I still can't believe this child's there alone. And they hook him up for more tests alone with no parental consent to these tests.
No. Like, they don't know what these tests are. This is just what NASA gonna do. So they hook him up, little brain scan thing. He's got little
whatever
things all over his head, and like they hook him up to the monitors. And again,
the equipment goes nuts as soon as they ask him to remember what happened when he went in the ravine.
And it was like they're syncing up, like his brain is answering the question.
Yeah, so they ask his name and he doesn't answer, but his name appears on screen.
He was like, who said that? Like, I didn't say that.
And he's like, where have you been? And he goes, I don't know. And the screen says,
analysis mode on Phaelon.
What powered the craft you were traveling in?
And then those symbols come up again, like all over the place.
And David's freaking out. He's like, who is putting that on the screen?
Right? Like, I don't know.
You are.
He's like, you are. It's coming from your mind, David.
And so they ask, how far is Phaelon? And how long did it take you to get there?
Equivalent of 560 light years, 2.2 solar hours. So now this is light speed theory is what Dr. Faraday says.
And so he's like, oh, so the rest of everyone would age during that time.
It makes sense why you haven't aged, because you were traveling at the speed of light.
So they ask him, where is Phaelon? And all these star charts start going through.
They're like, we don't have this information. I don't know what all this is. And David's like, what the fuck is that? And they're like, oh no.
And he just gets too freaked out, takes the cap off and runs off.
Well, it does. It points it out in this unknown.
Yeah, it shows. And they're like, whoa.
Unknown, uncharted
territory
system or whatever. It's like, oh, fuck. And
they say 48 hours is not going to be enough time.
Well, first they ask him, they're like, is this Phaelon? He's like, I don't know. And the thing says yes. And that's when he freaks out. And that's when he's like, 48 hours isn't going to be enough.
So now David's in his room looking sad out his window when Ralph and Carolyn return. And he tells her, I'm going home tomorrow.
She's like, no, you're not. I just saw the schedule and you're on there for the whole next week.
So he gets all pissed. He goes and bangs on the two-way mirror because he knows.
Right, because he knows.
Like, you can't do this, whatever. So he goes out of sight of the mirror and whispers to Carolyn.
Right, like, you have to tell my family what's going on. Like, please help me. And she's
she kind of gives a little wink.
Well, she's like, well, I'll be back, whatever. Like, I got to go. Bop, bop, bop.
But as she leaves, she's like, you're cute.
Did anyone ever tell you that? It's like, my mom did, but that doesn't count.
And she gives him a little sad wave and shuts him back in his room.
So now David takes a little nap and then he wakes up and he can hear the voices again. And it's like, are you coming?
It's calling for help. And he's like, how? And he says, are you coming? And he looks out the window at the bunker.
Right. And he's like, yes, I'm coming. And that's when Ralph comes in.
And the voice tells him to get in.
Get into the Ralph unit or whatever. So he just hops in, like, because that's where it's like a room service cart. Like, he can just hop into the little space.
So he closes his little privacy curtain so the guards don't see, and he gets in it. And they see it roll past. They don't think anything of it.
Well, they're playing cards and fucking whatever, because it's just a kid in there. Like, there's no reason for them to suspect. And neither of them ever even look at Ralph, because it's supposed to be there.
And this is a long-ass drive.
I know.
It did not look that far. It's like a dog almost catches him and past all these guards.
Yes, and like So why would the Ralph unit be at this hangar?
When nobody is inside working.
Thank you.
What is it bringing?
I don't know.
And it's the middle of the day. Why is nobody inside working?
Because
there's all this security to get in and nobody is working on this spaceship in the middle of the day.
No, and like the only people that are in there is the security guards who are also not paying attention.
Exactly. So he gets right in. He gets out of Ralph and he ventures inside. He can't really see where the voice is coming from. There's like all this plastic and whatever. And he goes in right into the restricted area. Again, no security at the restricted area point.
It's like got one of those little radioactive rays.
Because that was their fear before, is that is it like radioactive and there was nothing. Yeah. So he goes in and there's the ship.
Right. Like we see this huge metallic silver fucking
seamless.
Yeah, like it's cool looking.
And if you watch that again, I'm going to refer you to that YouTube thing. If you're into special effects, they go into that some of this was CG, but these were physical models.
They built like 20
They
foot
built
long
big ones. They built small ones. They built different shaped ones, floating
different
ones.
shaped ones.
Yeah.
The ones with the door open, the ones with the door
And he
shut.
never did figure out the underwater thing, I don't think. He could not figure out what
How they
effect
did
because
that?
it's buoyant. He bought one of the models, the small models,
Yeah,
thinking they
'cause
must
it's-
have done it this way.
Huh.
But he like analyzed the whole trajectory and how it goes like at a diagonal and not straight up. And that doesn't fit with like the buoyancy of it. And so he
It was
doesn't
a
know if
real
that was
spaceship.
motion controlled or what they did for that one.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was cool.
That was crazy.
So the ship opens up for him.
Yeah.
And these liquid steps, which also he did, which
was super
stop
cool.
motion animation. Liquid steps appear for him, and he climbs right up.
Yeah.
And those all had bars on the side that they
that you
filmed
just
at an
couldn't
angle
see, like
that you couldn't see
I
the
love
bars
a-
on the side.
I love an effect like that. I love it
because you
when
got to
just
have
can't
it be
see.
a physical thing. Like
I
it
know,
would be
like
weird
that's
if
something
it wasn't.
that you're interacting with. Well, also the further on when like you see at the gas station when the thing lands or whatever, because I know you saw it too, where like the truck was in the background, but it just looks like a truck that because all you could see is the wheels. It's behind
Right.
and it's the crane truck that's holding it
Oh yeah.
from above, so it looks like it's hovering, and you fully see the truck tires like back behind, but
There
it's
was a
gas
few
station.
fails, yeah.
There's no, it's
But
not
they
even a
weren't-
fail. It's a
they
gas
weren't noticeable.
station. There's a bunch of trucks and shit, so you're not thinking, oh,
No.
that must be the thing it's attached to. It's just another
Yeah,
truck
when the
at
guy
gas
points
station.
them out in the YouTube video, there's quite a few little flubs that
Right.
I did not pick
They're
up at all because I
seamless,
watched
though,
that
because
after.
they blend that
Right.
flub into the background of what should be there.
Right. So he gets inside and it's like a silver version of the Hellraiser cube or something inside.
There's all the symbols that they
Yeah.
like keep coming up on the monitor. They're all over the floor. It's all over the walls.
And there's nobody in there. It's just empty.
Mm-hmm.
And as he approaches the back, this chair rises up out of the floor.
Right.
It's
well,
all
he
made of
sees,
the
like,
same.
There's like a circular thing
Yeah.
on the wall, and as he goes towards it, there's a chair that comes up out of the floor that he like falls into.
And the eye opens and starts speaking in this alien language.
Right. And he's like, huh? What? And he was like, you.
Sit down,
Yeah.
Navigator.
Right. And he's like, what? Huh?
So he's like, are you the one that's been calling me? And he confirms,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that was him.
You have the information I need to complete my mission. Your brain has all of my star charts. You are the Navigator.
So he needs his final vectors out of David's brain.
Mm-hmm.
He filled it with star charts. And and that's when he's like in his face.
Well,
"You're
is this
the
where he
Navigator."
tells him that, like, when I ran into the power lines, or is that later?
I think it might be later when he says,
Okay.
because he's like, why can't you do this? You're so smart. And he's like, when I ran into the power lines.
Okay, that was later.
So a guard finally looks at the camera.
Finally notices that the door is open on the spacecraft. Like, holy fucking shit. And now they're like, oh, fuck, seal it
Emergency
up.
mode,
Everybody put
shit.
your hazmat suits on. It's like tense synth music now. And Dr. Faraday comes in running. He busts in like gangbusters. And like...
And the ship's like aliens approaching. And he's like, no.
No, those
are other
people,
humans.
like whatever. And like he's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be in so much trouble for being.
They're out there
here.
with their guns drawn, and the ship's like, I want to shut the door. And he
right.
he
He's like,
shuts
because
it.
they see that he's inside.
Yeah.
And like he's like, well, shut the door. Compliance. Mm-hmm. And they've all got like their guns trained. He's like, what do you want to do? I need like maneuvers. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, and
He's
he
like,
opens that where he can see in the screen. So
Right,
one
like
of the
they
metal
all-
walls like turns into a screen to outside.
Right. He's like, do you want to depart?
I just
the
wanna get outta
hostile-"
here.
Right, he's like, compliance and 20 miles away from here. Whoop. He like detaches from all the things, zaps open the hangar doors.
Yeah, and everyone outside is like, it hovers for a 2nd and then just shoots 20 miles up into the air.
He's like all pasted
He's all,
down.
yeah,
to
and then
his
he's
seat.
weightless.
Yeah, and then he hits the ceiling. He's like, I didn't mean straight up.
He's awaiting the navigator's command. And he's like, yeah, I meant on the ground.
Well, because they could track it. They're like, it went 20 miles straight up. I don't know what it's doing. It's got this kid inside. I don't know what's up.
So it comes back down and stops right
where it
above their heads.
landed. He's like, I meant like along the ground. He was like, oh, We could do that
Well,
shit.
that's a first class maneuver.
Right. That was a third class maneuver. I could do that in my fucking sleep. Well, what's a first class maneuver?
Observe.
And it like
These big
turns
red
and,
glowing
like, come up out of the
beams come
ground.
out.
And then like the ship transforms into like a
sharp
pointy-
version. Yeah.
and just pew!
It takes off.
Blows the fucking roof off of the little shack over there
Yep.
and takes off
He
20
can-
miles in whatever direction.
And the ship starts running it down for him that he can move at any speed, speak thousands of languages.
Right.
He's like, but can you fix the seat?
Because he's like, ugh.
Jostling around, and he
Right.
does. Mm-hmm. He asks it to slow down, and it does, and it spooks these cows.
Right. They pull up on these cows.
And that's when he's like, you're wasting time. Give me the star charts now. And he's like, I gotta go to the
Hold
bathroom.
on. I gotta go. And he's like, go where?
He does not know bathroom.
I gotta take a leak. Leak?
So the doctor's trying to figure out how the kid got out, and they're noticing that Carolyn was like the last
Well,
one
she
to.
was like,
Oh yeah, she's looking
like
guilty out
listening or
there.
whatever. She's just trying to put some shit in Ralph and get out of there.
So NASA locates them and sends choppers.
Yes, because they're like, oh, they're right there. They're parked 20 miles from here. Send the choppers.
And the ship is watching David pee, and it's mooing at the cows. And David's like, why are you here?
He was like, oh, I'm here collecting specimens from all over the galaxy.
Different galaxies.
Right, different
To
galaxies.
study.
And I just happened to pick you up, an inferior species.
Why
that-
me? Why not?
Why not?
So yeah, he's like, well, since you can only use 10% of your brain, I thought it'd be fun to fill the rest of it with all my star charts.
Right. And he
And
was
see
like,
what happened.
What happened?
You
It
leaked. And he's leaking as he leaks.
I know, as he's saying it. So now Max tells him he needs the charts in David's head to complete his mission.
Because his charts got erased crashing into these power lines.
Right, exactly.
And David wants to know, why have I been gone for 8 years if you're so smart? And he's like, well, I usually bring you back to the time I took you from.
But
Your
we found
body's so
out-
fragile.
Yep.
I don't know if you can handle time travel.
So I had to just do the next best thing and drop you back where I left you.
So the helicopters show up, and David won't get back in the ship unless it promises to take him home.
Well, he was like, oh, so now you need my inferior brain to like drive that thing. He's like, no, I need the superior information that I put in your
yep.
inferior brain to
It's not
complete
something
this mission.
that you know that I don't know. It's
Right.
information I gave you.
Exactly. So they make a promise, they make an exchange. David gets back on the ship and off they fucking go. And this part's cool too with them helicopters and they're all
And it
spinning
like they
around.
all kind of like
Yeah.
and he didn't say how they did that. If those were,
I
it
don't
must have been
know. It had
models or
to have
something.
been, because it like they all kind of
Get
dispersed
gusted
or
away,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that couldn't have been for real.
And so they lose the spaceship immediately because it just rockets off. But
Yeah.
the ship wants instructions, and he's like,
I
take me home. And he's like, you don't even know how to get from 7-Eleven to your house or from
Right,
your
well,
house to
first
7-Eleven.
of all, like after they take off, Dr. Faraday's like, "Can you follow it? Follow it? I can't even see it."
So David's
yeah.
now getting into it, and they introduce themselves to each other.
He's like, "Oh, I'm Trimaxion, blah blah blah." He's like, "No, I'll just call you
Okay,
Max.
Max.
That's easier."
He said, take me somewhere where they can't find us. So it dives straight into the ocean.
Compliance and straight into the sea.
And he's like, do you leak? I do not leak. You leak, remember? So Max opens this panel in the wall to
well,
show
he's got to
him.
prepare. No, he's not trying to show him. He's got to like recalibrate his shit
Right.
so that he could do that. Well, they could do that. Whatever. It's Paul Reubens. He could do the mind transfer thing or whatever. And David sees there's all these little creatures.
And he tells him these are all the specimens he's collected that he'll take back to their own planet and time, like after he drops David off.
Right. After I drop you off, I'm going to take him back in time and whatever. And he's like, don't touch it. That's a Garpunthel from the Pentrolus space station. And once it bites, it never lets go.
And one of them eats his NASA hat and burps.
The other thing is the thing like...
Oh, the snot
coughing
monster?
Up, no, the thing coughing up ink.
Oh, yeah.
The Fiend Staris from the Pixar Elliptic.
Okay.
And it's like, and then the other thing eats his hat. And then there's that slimy turd that's got a cold. It's a very unpleasant
And then the
creature.
giant eyeball.
That's my favorite.
Oh my
fucking-
god!
Yay,
And is it just
yay,
an eye, or is that just the
yay.
eye of a giant from like?
I just assume it's a giant eye
It's
because
just
it
an
seems
eye.
in the in the it's just that little compartment that just a little eye can be in, but I love that all it says is ay.
And then there's one that's kind of cute.
Oh, what's this little guy?
Puckmorin.
Puckmorin from the Pinpuka Minor. He's not dangerous.
He's angry because I won't take him home, but he doesn't know his planet was destroyed
Does
by
he
a
not
comet.
know now? Does he not?
Like, because he doesn't understand you?
Well, maybe not.
I guess he
'cause
doesn't speak
he
English.
doesn't understand, but he seems to understand David.
Well, he just seems to like David. I don't know whether he understands him. So he's like tickling him and he's laughing. And Max asks the purpose of
just
laughing.
Keep him quiet. And he's what is laughing? What's that about?
And he tells him it makes you feel happy. You should try it. And he does.
Ha 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 ha.
So NASA still can't find them. And now Dad's calling.
Yeah. And Dr. Faraday waffles. He's like, hey,
He wants some time to himself. I'll have him call you later.
Whatever. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
So now they discovered that Carolyn was the last one to see David and that she got off work an hour ago.
But
so
you
she's
better
like,
bring
find
her butt back here.
So now Max is ready to perform the mind transfer.
And this is the first time it's done it, so...
You'll feel nothing. You'll retain all your data, but I never did this before.
Right. He's like, whoa.
You're going to fry my brain?
No.
So he lies down on the floor and this light scans him quickly and that's it.
That's it. He's like,
done.
that's it. And then Max
Davey.
Davey?
And it starts spouting off like his human memories and it's now...
bucket.
And it's very clearly Paul Reubens now.
Oh, I know. Now you must know. Who else could it be?
Because I could see how you get through the first part of Max without clocking that's Paul Reubens.
Well, because I questioned it.
Until the laugh.
I questioned it. I was like, oh, yeah. And Paul Reubens, I was like, wait a minute. Was it though?
Because, or just somebody doing like...
Or just like part of it? Like part of it was one, part of it was
because like
something
the one that my mom got this one confused with Explorers, they learn about humans from TV and they mimic.
Oh.
And they do voices. And so... There's part of me that might have crossed up that too, where you could have convinced me that no, it wasn't Paul Reubens. It was that TV alien who was like picking up radio signals or TV signals or whatever. They were doing a Pee-wee.
Right.
But no, it was.
No, it was
him.
actually Paul Mall.
Paul Mall. So he's like, he got all this stuff on accident that has nothing to do with star charts.
But then you find out that he crashed looking at daisies.
Right. And so he pulls the chair quickly back up under Davey for making fun of him, like knocking him into the chair. Well, excuse me. And blasts up into space.
Right.
He's like, why are we going way up here, you geek?
I was flying. Or yeah, if I was flying, we'd be home by now. He's like, all right.
Okay, turkey. You fly. So he just...
I take it back. You're not a geek.
They plummet from fucking free falling from space.
And NASA's watching. They're like, they got 15
They're like, they're out of control and plummeting.
And now, like, finally, David finds the button.
Yeah, he can't find the controls because everything is just this metal pattern.
Yeah, everything looks exactly the same. So finally, he hits the button, and now he's flying. He's steering, and like
everyone at NASA cheers. He didn't crash. Woo!
Right.
So now, if he can only steer it,
no way, Jose.
And then those panels come up to his hands, and like, why is this ship equipped for a person to fly it?
I don't know.
Because Max flies this ship.
I know.
There's no reason at all for it to have a seat for a human.
Liquid metal type, whatever.
I guess because it's T2 metal. Sure. It can do whatever it wants.
I mean, like little buckets came out of the side, like they weren't liquid little bits. But I mean, like, suspension of disbelief. It was 1986. It probably was just part of the liquid metal.
Well, Max is like what AI could be. You know what I mean?
It said that in the on the description.
Oh, really?
It said AI UFO or whatever. Or AI spacecraft or whatever the fuck. But AI was definitely a part of it. And that's what they used to refer to Max.
Gotcha. So yeah, the panels come up and I love the little, it's like
like the
glass ball and they like the way this holds the mechanics of this.
Smooth and shit.
It like kind of moves
see my
with
way
your body.
flying some stuff that way.
So now
I'll fly if I get to.
If you get to.
If it's this spacecraft and I get to fly it.
You'll do it.
Sure.
We got to find you a Max.
Absolutely. What's Joey Cramer doing? Let's go.
So David is like, he's flying now. And Max is like, yeah, I just did that to teach you to fly. And then he does that. I don't remember what
He's like, you could have killed, like, we all could have died. He's like, I'm shaking.
I'm scared. I'm shaking. And so now this is where he says he doesn't know how to get home because he's 12.
Right.
Like, I don't.
Which way to Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know where
know.
home is. Plus, it's a new house.
Right. Like, he
doesn't even know where that house
been
is.
there one time at night under duress or like in stress time.
Right. So NASA finds out that Carolyn's at David's house telling his parents.
They found her and she is at the Freemans right now trying to let them know what's going on. So she tries to dip out the back door because Jeff sees
that they're coming.
There's people coming up to the house, but there's already somebody at the back door there to apprehend Carolyn and take her back to the base.
And the rest of them are ordered to remain confined to their house.
Dr. Faraday, bitch.
What authority
What are you going to do?
got?
Fucking shoot me?
You got a warrant. I know. What NASA, did they even have guns? I don't think they did.
They did an ET, but I don't think they had it
I don't
here.
think they had them here. I didn't notice any. Nobody. There was no shooting in this movie.
I mean, I don't know where I'm going to go.
Right?
But
But don't order me to stay in my house.
You don't order me to do shit. And no one was fucking watching Jeff. Not one of them
Nobody
was
gave a
watching
shit
Jeff.
about Jeff.
Which
That's
you
why
would
he
think
saves the day.
Well, you would think that would be the one to watch.
Yeah, the other
the young
youngin'.
able brother.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
So David's still flying around, but like now it's getting dark, and he's like, "That's not right." And now
He goes,
they're in
look, there's Miami Beach.
And
And they go
it's
down and it's Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Whoops.
So they head back the other way, and Dr. Faraday's grilling Caroline, but she doesn't know. She literally does not know anything.
No,
she did not let
just,
him
like-
out. She did go
No.
tell his parents, but like she doesn't know
She's
where
like,
he
all
is.
I did was just say that he wasn't coming home, which you motherfuckers didn't want to tell him. Other than that, I don't know how he got out because she wasn't a part. She didn't send Ralph.
No.
The ship
No,
did.
the
I
ship
would
did,
assume.
yeah. I thought the ship
sent
did.
it, yeah.
So they fly past the Golden Gate Bridge, and Max sings the Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco tree.
Ding ding.
Are we there yet? Where are we anyway? He's doing like the whole backseat kid driver or
I
whatever.
know. Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
So they need directions.
They find some teens out
In a
driving
convertible.
in a convertible, like ba 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 da 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 ba ba ba.
And they hover behind them at a stop sign.
and they like peel out. Were those geeks?
Oh yeah, because
Davey?
he's like, "Can you tell me the way to Fort Lauderdale?" And they just take off. Were those geeks? Yes.
Yeah, Davey. Or yeah, Max. Those were geeks.
So Max asks about the music they were listening
What
to.
were those strange sounds? It's music.
He wants to hear more.
Well, if you could find some radio waves or something, like I'm sure we could figure something out.
So he goes flipping through and finds what, like
He's like,
opera.
no. Blame it on the bossa nova.
Yeah, he doesn't like the bossa
No,
nova.
he doesn't. And then they land on the Beach Boys.
And David loves him some Beach
Oh
Boys.
man, he gets all into it.
He's singing along while he's driving.
I'm
Yeah.
not a Beach Boys fan.
No, like I wouldn't buy it or say I want to listen
I
to the
wouldn't
Beach
choose
Boys.
it.
But it comes on so infrequently that I feel like if the Beach Boys came on, depending on the song, I might not change it. It
I like
depends.
God Only Knows. I like that song.
I don't.
'Cause
Again,
it's
it
weird.
would depend on the.
I guess
just
the
depend
mood.
on the
I mean,
mood.
if I was flying a spaceship, I get around. might be
Right,
good.
sure. Yeah.
you know what,
In
that might be good.
1986, I'm flying a spaceship. Hell yeah, I get
No,
around,
In
bitch.
1986, I hadn't gotten like, I don't know, whatever happened to me that made me not be a Beach Boys fan necessarily. I could
Right.
see my way. I think it was Kokomo. You know what? It was Kokomo. That's what fucking did it because I hate that bitch.
Oh, I wanna take it.
That's where I'm gonna bury you.
Nah, because you won't get on a plane.
Oh,
You're gonna have to take Max to bury me there.
I am, because he's gonna let me fly it.
So yeah, he's like kind of showing him dancing and the little Puckmurins
Right,
dancing.
they're doing a whole little musical number.
And now the news is showing UFO sightings on multiple
all over
continents.
the place. He's been spotted across the Gulf, and now Faraday knows he's going home.
And so they see Al's Gator City. This must be Florida.
And that must be Big Al.
And so he gets out and asks this big man in overalls for
Who's like-
quarters for the payphone.
dumbstruck.
Yeah, he's just like in shock staring at the ship. So, but he gives him the change.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ship fat shames him. Poor man. After he gave this kid change.
he's not listening. He
Too
don't know
many
what-
Twinkies. So David calls home on the payphone.
And luckily Jeff answers, and like mom catches it. And she's like, "Oh, Jeff,
keep the line free.
David might call because this is before call waiting."
And so a van pulls up with a family next to the
Yes.
ship, and they think it's like a tourist thing.
They've been at Epcot. They all have Epcot shirts
Yeah.
on or whatever. And like the kids are like, "Hey, can we go play
They want to take a photo with the
on
ship.
the thing?" And he was like, "Whatever," because like the guy's still
Just, dumbstruck. So
gobsmacked.
after he calls and sets it up with Jeff that he needs him to do some sort of signal.
Right. He's like, "I don't know where the house is, but I'm in Florida now. I need you to send me a signal. It's going to be dark soon." And he's like, "Brother, if I got to light this house on fire, you will
get
see
it
that shit.
done.
If I got to burn this house down with all these NASA men inside, bitch, I will do it."
I will get you home. So David grabs some maps and a crunch bar from the vending machine.
With the same change that guy gave him with the
I know.
change left
Damn, 1986.
Holy
and so
shit.
He gets right into the ship while this family's taking
Right,
photos,
he
and they're like,
runs off and like they're all, "Holy shit." And the guy goes, "He just wanted a phone."
home. So they check out the maps while David eats his crunch bar. Mm-hmm. And they
Folks
argue
are
about the
watching, like,
directions.
The Price is Right.
Yes. And they argue about the directions.
Mm-hmm.
And at home, at home, NASA's hanging out watching game shows.
Right.
And Jeff's is it the same box of fireworks that he had 8 years ago? I swear to God it
Probably.
was. Which
I'm
is why
sure
they
it
were
was.
half duds.
Right, because they were so old. They
It's
were 8
David's
years
old box of fireworks, which I didn't even have a note, but in the beginning,
You
that
know
kid
what?
pulls out like $150 worth of fireworks from like under his bed on the 4th of July.
You're probably right. They probably never celebrated 4th of July ever again.
Nope.
Not one of those 8 years.
Nope.
That was the anniversary of the day their kid went missing.
And I
They
bet
never
those are
did
the
that shit
leftover
again.
fireworks still.
I bet you're right. Mm-hmm. I bet you're right. I never thought of that.
That was the only reason I thought it just, when the first few were duds, I was like, I bet those are old fireworks.
I just thought because
the
it's like
same
when
one.
the car doesn't start or you can't get the key and the
Well, because
fucking...
my kids came in the room in the beginning of it, and it was in the part where he pulled out those fireworks, and I was like, "Hey, you guys, that kid's 12." And he had all them M80s and shit, like just
Right?
under his bed in his bedroom. And I bet they let him light them all off by himself.
Oh, I'm sure. They gave him a lighter. They were like, here you go.
They weren't
Here's
even
a
out
bit."
there. They sent him and his
No.
8-year-old brother.
You know how many fingers?
Though we live across from the ocean. Well, but go jump in the
Onto
fucking
a
ocean
fucking boat?
if you set
Light a
yourself on
fucking
fire.
boat on fire? Viking funeral, some fucking yacht? That would actually be pretty fucking tight.
So Jeff climbs out the window. Nobody pays any attention.
No, nobody is watching Jeff.
And Bruiser climbs out the window.
Jeff was on the phone. Nobody like questioned. Well, because they were all wrapped up in fucking
Price is Right. Yeah.
It was the Showcase Showdown.
I've been there. Again,
I'm
Showcase
saying-
Showdown. That's the second
I'm
reference
saying-
today.
I'm saying there was a Showcase Showdown. Everybody was into it. Someone was going to get to roll the wheel. All I want to do with my life,
Is roll the wheel.
I just want to do it one time. I just want to
once.
do it one time. If we can make this happen for me. I mean, I don't.
Get
This is
Doom you know you can just show up to those.
I know you
gotta
can.
dress
I've
cute
been on
or
the
have
Ellen
a little
show.
outfit, but there's like
I know you got to act like a fucking fool though, and I'm not out there to fucking act like
I
a
know.
fucking fool.
My mom
Not
and
on
I looked
television.
at signing up for that because it's like a free thing, but it's a whole thing where you got to get down there and hope you get picked out of the line to be in the studio audience.
I need there to be a feature at like the Wax Museum or something
with just the wheel
with a wax Bob Barker
and the wheel
with
that you
the
can
long,
spin.
long, skinny.
Oh
bop, bop.
yes, the pointer thing.
The little microphone.
the
tiny
microphone. Yes,
his
the
little
tiny
Virginia Slim microphone.
Yes.
I want him to have that, and I want there to
his
be
Misty
a
120.
wheel. I want you to put me
Me
on the
wheel.
wheel. I want there to be a wheel that you could like. I mean, you can make it an extra fee. I'll pay it. I just want to spin the fucking wheel. How much longer are they going to do it? Drew Carey's still doing it,
I
right?
think
Like
so.
Price is Right is still a thing.
As far
right?
as I know, but I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
They got to do it. Madame Tussauds, get the Ouija board, hook her up, let her know.
So Jeff goes up there and starts lighting off fireworks. A few of them are duds. He finally gets one that goes off, and David sees
And it like turns into a fucking mortar. It goes from a fucking bottle rocket to a mortar somewhere along the line. And so finally, like David's like, "Oh, I knew you would God damn it, I knew you'd come through.
And he goes and lands, but like everybody knows NASA's there, the emergency
cops
services are there.
The fire trucks are there. Everybody, helicopters have been deployed.
I don't know what the plan was, how he thought this was going to be discreet, that no one was going to expect him
12.
to come home.
Because he's 12. All he wanted to do was go home. He didn't think of anything but going home to his family.
But then he gets out of the ship and sees what's happening and like looks at his parents and looks at his brother and he's like, actually,
I don't belong here now.
this isn't my time.
Nope.
And
This
he's
is
like,
my
but
time.
taking you back to your own time will be too dangerous. And he's like,
Take me with you, Max. I don't belong here now.
Yeah.
I love you. I can't be here.
so it lifts off and Max is trying to tell him it's too dangerous. And he's like, look, if I stay, scientists will treat me like a guinea pig for the rest of my life.
Right. And if I go with you, then you might be vaporized.
Yeah, right. And he's like, well, I'll take that chance.
I got to take that chance. He's like, all right, well, it's your call.
So he asks Max, will he ever see him again? And he's like, I don't know. But we got to start the journey. Hold tight.
So they start, and he gets like that
They get
weird
into the-
water eye.
Yeah. And they get into the time vortex or whatever this shit is.
It gets very like 2001, like that whole.
And the specimens are all going nuts. They don't like it in here. And nothing
No.
happens to David other than he passes out again, apparently, because he wakes up on the forest floor.
He wakes up in the ravine. He goes back up out of the ravine, over the railroad tracks, over the wall. And he hears Dad.
Right, before he even gets to the door, they're like,
Hey,
David.
And they're all in the boat. All of them are the right age. Everything is correct. They still live in this house. Bruiser is there.
And yeah, he goes in, he gets his sparkler, whatever, and he tells his mom he loves her.
I know. She's like, what brought that on? He's like, I don't know. I just, I'm feeling it. And he looks at Jeff and he's like, I love you too.
And they're
everyone's
all taken aback, like, he doesn't ever tell his dad he loves him, though.
I know. Poor Dad. Dad was
know.
like Dad was a writer up against NASA. Dad tried to tell you.
Right? And so Jeff notices he's got this little
The puck in his bag. And he's
hiding
like,
in his bag.
So off they motor to watch the fireworks and
And yeah, Max flies past.
see you later, Navigator.
So
The
yeah.
end.
So I had some memory of like that somehow either the Jennifer thing came up again or that Sarah Jessica Parker either met Jeff and thought he was cute or that he ended up meeting her as a kid and none of that happens. But in that YouTube special, they talk about they found like a Japanese photo booklet of like movie stills and there is one of him sitting at the end and under the fireworks at the lake. And they thought it was Jennifer, but they found a production script that said it was young Caroline.
See, now that's not right. That's
And-
like a big situation. Not quite as much. Well,
Because
how
he
old could
remembers-
she be to be working at NASA. I mean, I know she said her dad
20.
was like, yeah.
She could have been the
so
same age
he
as him.
should have been 20. Mm-hmm. Nah.
I don't think I think
Or
they
no,
would have been
but then
about the
she
same
would-
age.
Oh,
yeah.
so no, once he's back in time. it's
Yeah,
like
so
young-
she would also be 8.
Duh. I don't know why I was thinking.
So yeah, so
Okay.
that was like instead
That
of
would've been
Jennifer,
cute.
like he's sitting next to some girl on the dock apparently, and it turns out she introduces herself and she's
As
Caroline.
young Caroline.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have bought that. I just
Because why else have her make that weird comment about how cute he is to a 12-year-old?
Just because.
Just to try to be nice,
Just to
but
be
like
nice, I guess. Well, because like I had said earlier, I never, ever, ever thought again after the beginning of the movie about Jennifer, about a relationship, about a I didn't
I don't
think
know
about
why
it.
I
You
did,
know
but
what
I
I
did.
thought about? You know what I thought happened? I thought that Jeff joined the dog frisbee catching competition and won.
but
That's
no.
what I thought happened. Never
He
thought of
just
Jennifer
taught the
again.
dog to catch a frisbee. That's it.
Never thought of Jennifer again.
So yeah, so Flight of the Navigator, still good.
Oh,
still
yeah.
a classic.
Absolutely.
It doomed me to think that I was gonna fucking be able to fly a spaceship or some
Well,
shit. That something
that I might
another
get-
one of these magical that
I
I was
know.
gonna have some magical adolescence where
Well, that and it's another boy adventure where there were like no girls other than to be the crush or to be the cute.
again,
You know.
we need to
What do
make
we
it our
gotta-
focus to find
I
those,
know.
and if they don't exist, we're gonna make one. We're gonna write our own.
Yeah, maybe.
We know some people. Sort of.
We don't.
We do, actually.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I guess a little bit.
So
but
if we had a really good script,
you never ever know.
I mean, we wouldn't have anything to do with getting it
it.
made. We would just be screenplay writers.
The best
but
I could offer you is a rough outline.
No, I would make the rough outline and then you would improve it because that's how our writing works.
I guess
just
that's
go,
also, like,
here,
we
my
just-
brain doesn't make complete sentences. Here's ideas.
I
Make
know,
it
then I
sound
go,
witty.
I don't know.
But yes, go back if you've not seen it. Disney Plus, Flight of the Navigator. Check
You
it
can
out.
watch it right now. It is most fun.
So we have 2 new Apple reviews, I believe.
Oh.
And one of them is from, my glasses.
Uh-oh.
Oh, One Jaded Sun.
Oh.
Great podcast with great vibe. A podcast with fun insights and great vibe from the hosts. One of the best movie podcasts out there and highly recommended.
Well, thank you.
And then we have another one from CK7788vid. Always a great time. This is one of my favorite podcasts. Nicole and Tessa are a blast to listen to. They always make me laugh while discussing many of the movies that I grew up with. I've listened to the Aliens and Showgirls episodes so many times because they bring me such joy. Listening is like hanging around your friends. Love these ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
And those were part of my push on our 3-year anniversary to get.
We
I love an even number. I was just trying.
I know. You
I gotta get us to a nice round number.
Round number.
So if you want to leave us a review,
You can.
You can leave us a review on Apple or you can give us a rating on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
You can subscribe, follow. You can follow us on YouTube because we keep forgetting to mention, if you don't already know, that the last Saturday of every month we do live wrap-up and previews.
Yes, we do.
For the next month.
Did it last weekend.
Right. So you would have just missed it. So if
But
you
it's
just
still
missed
there.
it, it's still there on YouTube. Go check that out. DoomGenerationPod.com for links to all the things. They're all fairly obvious to find, though.
Yeah,
on all the
everything's-
places, if you just look up Doom Generation
Yeah,
Podcast, you're
you'll
going to find
see
us.
You'll see our ugly mugs.
And call us.
You
Voicemails,
can.
text 702-720-DOOM.
That's the hotline.
We'll play them or read them out on the show. And to support this podcast, patreon.com/Doom Generation.
That is also an option.
And until next week.
We'll talk at you next time.
Later,
Doomers.